started whenever you
Morning.
are ready.
We'll call this meeting to order of the Senior Advisory Committee, and we'll begin with the roll call. Susan?
Present.
Dave Kleinfelter is present. Dan Elliott? No. Martha Helgerson? No. Julie Hughes? No. Jan Jacobson?
Here.
Present. Patrick Jones? No. Jack?
Yes.
And Nancy?
Present.
Good, we have a quorum. We'll begin. First item is petitions, proclamations, suggestions, and complaints, right? So anybody have any concerns to share, questions, or suggestions? If not, we'll turn it over to Alyssa to update us on community activities and events and news.
Wonderful, thank you. I just, like usually every month, I'm just going to update you on what's going on in the city and what to expect in the upcoming months. We are hitting that fall-winter season, so we're slowing down a little bit, but we do have our community compost site open. That's going to be at the former Public Works site. For those who do not know where that is, it's across the street from Anki Brewing. There's a sign right outside as you drive by on Victoria Drive there. Or Steiger Lake Lane, my apologies. That will be open every weekend in October and then the first weekend in November during daylight hours. So if you have any yard work or know somebody that's looking for a spot to dump their compost, this would be the place to do it. It is free. The other thing to note is we have a mini Fall Fest coming up in November in downtown Victoria, right out here next to Bayfront Plaza. That's going to be November 2nd from 5 to 8 p.m. The mini Fall Fest is, we're going to have another compost kind of thing. If you have those extra Halloween decorations that you're looking to get rid of, those fall decor that are compostable, you can drop them off there. Your jack-o'-lanterns, you know, any type of leaves or anything like that. And then we're kicking off the end of the night with a Halloween themed movie, so you can join us for that as well. And
That's sponsored by the City of Victoria.
It is sponsored by the city, yep. And then this last one is also sponsored by the city, is the Light Up Victoria, December 2nd. I guess we like the second date, obviously. But it's from 6 to 7 p.m., again, Bayfront Plaza, and it's a kickoff to our winter season, and we're going to turn on all the winter lights that day. So if you want to partake in that, it is free and available. Jack.
Now, these things will be in the Victoria Gazette 1st of November, whenever it comes out.
You know, I don't know about the Gazette. It's not a city newspaper, but it was in the Victoria Spirit, and I see that Sue's got it up there. If you don't have a copy, we have them here as well.
That's so important, is to get the word out somehow.
Absolutely.
And you have little signs scattered around town for various activities.
We do, and I think those might be still summer related, so we'll have to switch those out.
Thank you.
All right, actually, that is it for my summer events. What I'd like to do now is kick it over to Dawn from Carver County Public Health to kind of talk about what's going on in the counties. So 1 second here, I got our presentation up and ready.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want to try sharing your screen, Dawn.
Okay, I think it might work this week. There we go.
We can all see it. We're good.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for letting me come to the meeting again and just kind of share updates from public health. We just keep pretty busy in public health, just with everything changing. Let me see if I can figure out how to move to my next slide. Sorry. All right, I got it to share. Now I can't figure out how to move them.
It's a Monday, right?
Yep. All right, well, and I like to have a PowerPoint just so you could kind of see what I'm talking about. Well, I tried here. Let me stop. Okay, I'm going to try one more time. See if that's going to help. Nope. Well, so what I was going to talk about is we are starting a COVID testing site. So testing for COVID-19 has been identified as one of the gaps that's needed in the county. They've even started a term called the COVID testing desert, and Carver County is in one of those. And so we're going to start it, yes, at the Waconia Event Center. And I gave these slides, and then maybe Alyssa can share some of this. So we're going to have it 3 days a week at the Waconia Event Center, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're trying various times to see if we don't want timing of day for testing to be a barrier, so we're trying all different times. And we even have Mondays at 2 to 6 for those who need it after hours. We're hoping to start by December 11th. That's very tentative, and should be able to get the word out once we're able to actually start testing. There will be the saliva test. It is an MDH state-sponsored site, so it'll be free, because we're finding that's also one of the barriers. If you would like to be tested, a lot of times you're paying for that test. My next slide that no one can see is...
Actually, Dawn,
Excuse me, Dawn, I've got 2 questions.
and one thing,
yeah.
if you don't mind, Sue, I do have the presentation up for everyone can see in chambers, but I'll pass it over to
Okay.
Vice Chair.
Going back to the testing, is that a rapid or not?
It's not. It will take about 24 hours to get the results. As soon as the testing center closes, we will courier those to UPS, get them to the lab, and you should get the results within about 24 hours.
Okay. My next question
not
is, Carver County, I don't know if you had them or if it was on your website about availability of home test kits. Is that still something through your website, or you could initially connect people to get those? Do you have any information about that?
That should still be on the website. So it's through a company called Vaults. So you can go on there, register, have them ship you a test, take it at home. We found one of the barriers is you need to have some sort of internet Zoom type connection because they want to actually watch you take the tests. You take it and then you need to drop it back off to be shipped. The tests we're offering at our test site are the exact same saliva tests. We're just doing them in person, have someone just watch you spit into the tube and then mail them in. Okay. So the at-home ones are still available. Those we found have a longer turnaround time is because you need to order it, wait the 1 or 2 days for it to be shipped to your house, take the test, drop it back off at a UPS location, and then it's mailed, and then, you know, the lab has to process it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So the next slide is just talking about the COVID booster shots. Those are now approved and available. And just wanted to say that at the Government Center, we have COVID vaccine clinics once a week on Tuesdays from 2 to 4. There's just links for information if you want to know if you are eligible for a booster shot. The booster shots are for those who received Pfizer the first time. It's been 6 months and you're over the age of 65 or 65 or older. And then the second link is a link to our webpage where you can look at the dates and sign up for a time for a vaccine clinic or just walk in. We accept walk-ins also. The next slide is the Age-Friendly Minnesota Needs Assessment. So that's an assessment that the state does, and it's for older adults. And so there's a link there if you would like to just go and take an assessment, have your voice heard, be able to talk about what you feel is important. And then the next slide, I can't get my slides to go, so I'm kind of doing this off of memory, sorry. So the next slide is there is a focus group opportunity. So if as a community, as a senior advisory commission, you feel like you would like to participate in a focus group, we can do that. I've been given permission to do those virtually. They're for about 5 to 6 people. They schedule for 90 minutes, so an hour and a half. And then there's there's 8 strategic areas, and then as a group you would pick 2 to talk about. I would help facilitate that, take notes, and just give an opportunity for people to voice their thoughts, concerns, and it gives an opportunity for more local input. The only drawback to those is they need to be completed and everything submitted by October 31st, so it is kind of a tight timeline if the city is interested in hosting those. So far I've heard back from the City of Chanhassen and Norwood Young America, so there is interest. And so I will be setting up times for them. So if there is interest, please let me know. I would just ask that the committee just help, recruit 5 to 8 people, maybe pick a day and a time that works best for everyone, and then just help with the virtual. They would like them all to be virtual, which makes it a little bit more difficult with technology issues. And if you're interested, yeah, just let me know. And going off of memory, I think those are all of my slides. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question about the COVID vaccine. Can you tell us what
Okay.
what the numbers are for Carver County? How many people, what percentage have been vaccinated?
I can look that up real quick. I don't know off the top of my head. We do have a dashboard that gives those numbers, and I know that it's updated weekly. Okay, let me. So you have to kind of wade through because they talk about the cases and the number of deaths and where. So to get to the vaccine rates, I'm not being very quick about it, sorry.
If it's difficult to find, it's not a critical.
Okay. Okay, it's on the website. I could definitely look it up and then email that information to Alyssa. But yeah, I know it's there. It's just where to find it. Sorry.
Sure, not a problem. Any other questions for Don?
Yep.
Don, thank you very
Yeah,
much. We appreciate that.
Dawn, this is Sue, and I do have a question about your age assessment and focus groups. You're looking for people, you said. How do you get the word out about that? Do you only go through, I know Chanhassen has a senior commission, Norwood is pretty active, but how do you get the word out so hopefully you have a good representation of what you're trying to assess and what you're trying to focus on? About becoming involved or doing the assessment or becoming involved in the focus group, in a focus group?
Right. So right now, I am just reaching out to already established groups, like the senior commissions, to see if they would be interested.
And
that's been my only group so far, just because it is a quick turnaround and there's quite a few other things going on at the county right now.
Okay.
As I'm in my job longer and I know that this comes out every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, I can plan ahead and get the word out more. I haven't yet found a way to really advertise to the older adults in Carver County other than through the senior commissions. In normal times, Carver County had an Office of Aging Facebook page for those who followed our Facebook page, and I could get the word out through there. But really kind of rely on the cities. So if I send you the information whatever platform the city has to get the word out would be very, very helpful. And so that's in the PowerPoint to have the link to the assessment. If that's all your community wants to do is take it online, if you have a way to share that out, please share it. It's public knowledge, but I really haven't developed any other type of recruitment.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think we're ready to move on with the agenda then, Alyssa.
Awesome. Thanks again, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Yep. Thank you.
So the next item of business is the approval of minutes from the August 2nd meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to
I'll make the
approve
motion to
minutes.
approve the minutes.
We got Jan moving, and Nancy will take you as the
I
second.
will second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
Aye.
and opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we're going to introduce our fire chief, Andrew Heger. Andrew, welcome. Thank you for coming here today.
I'll jump up here. I got a couple other quick things to grab.
Okay.
Real quick, I don't remember who asked the question about Carver County vaccination rates. I pulled that up while she was looking. 65.1%.
65.
Is
So
the
we're kind of
county-
lagging the state, aren't we?
We're 79.9% for 16 and above. So,
Oh, that's pretty.
so when we exclude the groups that can't get vaccinated, we're just under 80%.
That's pretty good.
So.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. Thank you for taking a few minutes. My name's Andrew Hager. I'm the fire chief here. What I'd like to do today is just share a little bit about the fire department, some of the services we provide that may be of interest to you guys, and help share that throughout the community. And then I'll speak on three of those services a little bit in detail. First, just a little overview of the fire department for those that don't know how it works. We operate on what's called a paid-on-call staffing model. So that means all of our firefighters have jobs outside of the fire department. I'm the only exception to that. So my full-time job is managing the fire department and all the stuff that goes along with that, but all of our firefighters have careers outside of the department. So I've got a firefighter today that's actually in about 10 minutes is going to be down in the library doing story time for the children. So he's taken some time away from his day in order to do that and help with that public education model. So there's a lot of misunderstanding, misconception out there that there's always firefighters sitting at the station, and that is not true. For the most part, people are coming from their jobs or their homes to respond to calls for service. What our call volume looks like right now, we're at 285 calls for the year. So we've made 285 calls this year alone. This year's been kind of wild for us. It's a 30% increase over last year. So we actually hit last year's call volume a week ago today. So I think just with all the growth and everything that's going on, we're going to see an increased demand for our services. The services we provide, obviously, we're named the fire department, but that's a very small part of what we do. We do, fire suppression. We do basic life support and medical response. We do rescue type calls, whether it's a vehicle accident or any technical rescue type stuff. We can do hazardous materials response, and then public education, community engagement. Our fires, again, I think last year made up like 7% of our call volume, so pretty minimal as far as what we do. The medical side is really where we spend a lot of our time, and about 60% of our call volume last year was related to medicals. Now, why that's important, why it's important to have the fire department responding to medicals, how our ambulance system is structured today, we don't have an ambulance stationed within the city. So typically they're coming from Chanhassen, Chaska, Waconia. Their average response time to get an ambulance to an emergency in Victoria is just under 10 minutes, right about that 10-minute mark. So we can typically put somebody there in half that time. We're about 5 minutes we'll have somebody from the fire department there. So when it comes to the serious medicals, that's really important that we've got some medically trained staff that are there and able to start that patient care, whether it's a heart attack, a stroke, anything like that. We want to make sure that we provide that best service and can help that person in time of need. Yes.
So if a 911 call comes in, it goes to you and you send one of your people there within 5 minutes? And then
Yes.
the ambulance follows up 5 minutes later?
Yep, so when you call 911 within Carver County, it goes to the Carver County Sheriff's Office, and they have a dispatch center there. That dispatch center then will notify the appropriate agencies based on the call type, so whether it's fire department, law enforcement, and then that call gets passed off to Ridgeview to dispatch an ambulance to that location. So it's a little bit of work behind the scenes, but yeah, that's kind of how it all works, is you call 911 and that's the process of getting somebody there. So then we're notified by a paging system essentially, and then we'll send the appropriate resources to the incident.
And your volunteers can get back in 5 minutes from their job to go out on the call with you. That's great.
Yeah, yep. So what we do is we run some command vehicles or some explorers to get people going right from their house to an incident scene. And we'll get people there that quick. To get a full truck there is like 7 minutes, but on average, we're about 5 minutes to get somebody from the fire department on scene to start addressing
Great,
the
great.
issues.
Good to know.
Yeah. So again, that's why it's so important for our staff to get there and really help with that medical aspect of it, and we can start treating that patient care component and provide that need. So just some other highlights from last year. We had just under $1.5 million in fire loss within the city of Victoria last year. So that's vehicle fires, house fires, anything that fire damaged. We lost about $1.5 million worth of property. On the flip side of that, we saved about 72% of the savable property that was there. So while $1.5 million is a big number, obviously the impact is significantly reduced by what we were able to save. So, and then again, just some hours just for staff commitment. Our staff logged just about 4,800 hours last year in training time, and then another 4,500 hours in call time. Combine that with some of the duty crew programs we do and the public education, we're at that 10,000 hour mark for staff time. So our staff are very dedicated and put a lot of time and effort into the service they provide. So
Andrew, how big is your staff?
currently today we have 29. We are going through a hiring process right now. We just extended some job offers on Friday actually, with the goal to bring another 4 aboard. So that is a challenge in the paid on call staffing world, is trying to juggle full-time career, family with the fire department and all those hours that they put in. It can be a challenge, but we've been very fortunate over the last couple of years. We've been able to attract a lot of folks and retain our staff. So, all right. Any other questions on the department itself? All right. So 3 things I wanted to hit on real quick then. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. So about 40 calls that we went on last year were for false alarms. And a lot of those end up being, my battery's dead in my smoke detector and I didn't change it. And now it's 3 o'clock in the morning and it's chirping at me. So definitely not an emergency, but something that still needs to get addressed. We want to make sure smoke detectors are working properly and function as they should in the event of an emergency. So there's a lot of things that people don't know about smoke detectors. And the first one and the biggest one is they have a 10-year life. When they hit 10 years, they're done. They're garbage. They're actually designed to fail, so they'll start chirping at you, and it's usually 3 o'clock in the morning is when that starts happening. But the detector's telling you that it's time to get replaced.
Now, that's not the battery, that's the smoke detector itself.
Yep.
You need the whole thing again.
Yep. Yep. 10 years. So I brought along a couple of options today. But a new product it's come out in the last couple of years. They're marketing as a worry-free smoke detector. And what's really nice about these is they have a 10-year built-in lithium-ion battery. So in theory, the battery never chirps. You never have to change it. And when the 10 years is up, you just replace the entire detector, throw it away, and you're not not having to change a battery, you know, every 6 months, every year, or anything like that. So obviously the advancement in batteries over the last couple of years has really taken this a long way. So this is a pretty new product and something that's pretty exciting because it can help us reduce some of those false alarms as well. So what we also do see with the detectors, like carbon monoxide detectors, and I brought one of those along as well, you know, something like this, we typically see like 5 to 7 years out of these. And then again, the sensors just fail and it's time to get replaced. I don't have one with me today, but they make a really nice combination smoke and carbon monoxide detector now that does both functions in one detector. The importance of having a carbon monoxide detector in your home is equally as important, if not more, than the smoke detectors. And especially when we're coming into this time of the year when people start firing up furnaces and start using some heating appliances, that's when we'll start to see our carbon monoxide issues go on the rise. And, you know, without a properly functioning detector, there's no way that you'll ever know carbon monoxide is in your house. It's a colorless, odorless gas. You don't know it's there without a detector. So again, the importance of having those in your home and having them work. You know, in theory, the code today says you would have to have a smoke detector in every single bedroom outside of the bedroom in like your hallway, and then one on every floor. Now, that's if they build a brand new house. You know, if you've got a house that's 40 years old or something like that, that may not always be feasible, especially with the interconnected wiring requirements that are there for the new construction. So I would just advocate if you've got them, you know, make sure they're there and they're maintained and up to date. So
I have a question. Is the carbon monoxide detector usually placed in a furnace room near the furnaces or somewhere else?
So what code would say today is they've got to be within 10 feet of every sleeping area. And not to get too far like into the chemistry of carbon monoxide, but it's basically weighs the same as air. Oh. So it's going to go anywhere throughout your house. As long as air is circulating, it's going to go. Now, if you've got a carbon monoxide issue and your furnace is in the basement and you're on the second floor, it's going to take more time to get up there. So that's why, again, we just say that one on every level is what the requirement ends up being, and one of those has to be within 10 feet of sleeping areas. So if we've got bedrooms on the second floor, the one up there needs to be near the bedrooms. If we're on the main level, there's no bedrooms. It can be anywhere on the main level. So, okay. And you know, we'll see carbon monoxide produced from furnaces, gas dryers, had it from fireplaces, water heaters. So okay. It can come from anything that burns a fuel. So again, when we talk smoke detectors, just maintaining the traditional detectors that are out there that require your 9-volt battery, we advocate for changing at least once a year. There's a lot of stuff out there that's, you know, ties daylight savings time to changing your batteries. So when it's time to change your clocks, change your batteries. Well, you know, unfortunately that's kind of going away with everybody's going digital clocks, and we don't have the traditional got to crank your clock back anymore. So we're kind of losing that. But at a minimum, once a year is what we would recommend for changing your batteries. That battery will just ensure that that detector works in the event of a power outage. So if your power goes out, the battery will carry that detector for that power outage. This is where I'm really happy to say we can assist with this. So the department does a lot of these every year, but we go out and assist residents that aren't able to change their own smoke detector batteries. And I don't have a count on what we've done this year. This year and last year have been impacted by that, but some of the houses in this city have like some 18-foot vaulted ceilings, and some people just can't get those. They don't have a ladder to get that. So we're more than happy to come out, change the batteries, and assist with that. So if that's ever a service that you need, just reach out to me at the fire station, and we'll get a crew assigned to that and come help you out. In certain circumstances, we can help change detectors. You know, if your detectors got to 10 years, they're expired and it's time to replace them. Certain circumstances, we can help with that. What gets kind of challenging on that, I don't think you won't be able to see it, but these all have a wiring harness that plugs into the back of them. If the wiring harness is compatible and we can just unplug the old, plug the new one in, we can do that. If the wiring harness has to get changed, then it's an electrician has to get involved. So, But again, you know, I'd love to offer that service to anyone that's of interest or in need. We're more than happy to come out and assist with changing batteries. The next topic I wanted to hit on was Knox home boxes. And I'll have Melissa do the one passing those around. So what this is, it's a program we started about a year ago, and it allows you to purchase a key box,
Thanks, Alice.
mount it somewhere on the exterior of your home, and then the fire department has a master key that can get into that. And what that can allow us to do is get into your home in the event of like a medical emergency or anything like that where you may not be able to. You know, we've had instances over the past where we've had people fall and they live by themselves and they can't get to the door. And well, guess what? Now we've got to kick the door in or cause some significant damage. So a key box like this can get mounted on the exterior. You can put a single key in there, and then that would allow us to get into the home in the event of an emergency. This is something we require on all commercial buildings, but obviously we don't want to require that on residential. It's an option that's out there for people. The boxes run about $200. They're pretty robust as far as how they're constructed. We will assist with install. So we've done a couple of these in town already where we'll just basically lag bolt them to like the garage door frame. And then what we do is we mark it in a software program that we have that this box is there so that when our people are responding, they can see that. And then again, our master key that we operate for this Knox system will get us into that box. What I can reassure everybody on that is we have a very robust auditing system for those keys. So those keys are in a separate locking device within all of the fire trucks. And employees have to enter a unique code specific to them to remove that key, and then everything is time-stamped. So we know anytime somebody pulls one of those keys out, and we know right where they were and everything like that. So it provides some accountability on our end, you know, not to say that anything would happen, but, you know, in the event that somebody came back and said my house was broken into or something, we can audit our system to say that, you know, we did not pull a key, here's the records. So again, that's something we're starting to see a little more of. Yes?
I live in the condos right up the bike path here.
Yes.
So we do have a box on the main door because everything is locked. You can get through that with that key, but our individual unit, we have a different key. So do you have the different key? Some of our directors have master keys as an example. Would there be a master key in that box also?
There is a master key in that box, yep, on the exterior, and that does get us into those units.
Individual units?
Yep.
Plus into the main door, which is locked?
Correct. Yep.
Good.
Yep. Now, that is starting to change a little bit, and I'll use this building across the street, for example, just for privacy concerns and, you know, having access into people's living spaces. The company that manages the building across the street elected not to have a master key into every single individual unit for that building. So our master key gets us into the common spaces there. And then, you know, we've got a way we can get a hold of building maintenance or something like that to get into individual units through a caretaker, so.
I'll check that out.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So again, if that's something that interests you, there's some ordering instructions on there. They've got a couple different options. You can get one that bolts to a wall, one that hangs over a door. There's a couple different color options as well. But, you know, if that is something that interests you, again, you would have to order it through the company, but we would still need to get involved so that we can come out and actually secure the box with our key and open and close it. So, and then the last one I wanted to hit on this morning was just talk a little bit about stovetop fire suppression. And I'll show you these devices right here. This is something we've seen kind of become prevalent over the last couple years again, and it's in response to cooking fires. So about 52% of the fires, residential fires in the state of Minnesota last year were caused from cooking. What we've seen is smoking has taken a significant downturn. People are smoking less. We have fire-safe cigarettes. So smoking fires are on the decrease, but cooking fires continue to increase. So these products, and I'll pass these around, have a magnet on top. and they stick to the underside of either your microwave or your hood. And then there's a thermal fuse on the bottom, and if they get hot enough, they open up and they dump a fire suppression chemical basically on top of the fire and kind of self-extinguish.
Thank you.
So you would buy a pack of those. There's 2 of them in a pack, and again, they just basically are a magnet that sticks to the underside of either the hood or the microwave, and it would extinguish a fire in the event one started on a stovetop. What I will say is they're extremely messy if they go off.
Yes.
It's a really super fine powder, so there's going to be a mess to clean up, but the impact again would be much less than what a fire would cause.
Is something like that available at Lowe's or Home Depot? Or?
Yep, Home Depot sells, I don't think they carry that exact brand, but they sell one really similar to that, and I think they're like $75 for a 2-pack of those. So again, that's something that's kind of new over the last couple of years and really would help minimize the impacts of cooking fires. So, when we start talking with those fires in 2020, we saw 53 fire deaths across the state of Minnesota, and 66% of those were within the home. So that's one of the most dangerous places. That's where the fires are occurring, are in people's homes. So whatever we can do to minimize.
Were they stovetop fires or like furnaces or fireplaces?
So 52% of those fires were cooking specific. I don't have the breakdown from there as far as
How about here in Victoria? When you go on your calls, how many stovetop fires and how many deaths have we had here in Victoria?
I'm pleased to say 0 fire deaths. As far as I can remember, I've been here 20 years and we've never had a fire death, so I'd prefer we keep it that way.
Yeah.
We've had some injuries from fire, some serious burns and stuff like that, but fortunately no deaths. I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head. I know last year for sure we probably had 2 or 3 cooking fires. Some of those fortunately were stopped or minimized right at the source. Thinking back years past, we've had cooking fires that have led to a complete fire throughout the house and have destroyed the entire house. So.
Now, is like a fire extinguisher we would have hanging on the wall, would that be sufficient if you could get there quickly enough and know how to use it and so on?
Yes. The only thing I'll caution you on is we typically don't see water extinguishers. We don't want to put water on a cooking fire. Introducing water on top of grease is very, very bad and can lead to a very violent explosion of fire growth. So, but any of your, especially like in your building, they're all going to be like a dry chemical type fire extinguisher, and those would be sufficient for putting that out.
Good.
So, yeah.
The worry-free smoke detectors with the 10-year battery, are those available like at Home Depot, Lowe's, or do you have to order them online?
Nope, they are. They'd be available there. So Kidda is the brand that makes this one. There's a ton of Kidda and FireX are like the 2 big manufacturers of smoke detectors. And I know that I think Home Depot carries both of them. I know Target carries some of them as well. Okay. So you should be able to find those in any retail setting. So.
Excuse me, I was surprised. You said there's a 10-year warranty on the detector itself, but basically just a year on the battery. It doesn't say like the battery is not a 10-year battery.
Nope, the battery is 10 years as well.
Battery is 10 years old. Well, that's what I thought.
Yep. So on these worry-free ones.
Yeah.
So the battery and the
We
detector
don't have to, okay.
would be 10 years. So like I said, in theory, you would replace the entire unit at the 10-year mark. Now, they're electronic devices. There are some that will go bad and will have issues. So.
Okay, thank you. I was
Yeah.
confused.
Our time is running here, but can you explain how the staffing works with paid on call?
Yeah.
Can you explain how that operates?
Yeah. So again, all of our folks have jobs elsewhere. So today, for example, if we had a fire call this morning, we've got a couple of public works employees for the city that are also firefighters. We've got some people that work from home. We've got some people that work shift hours, so they're kind of in and out. So if a call goes out this morning, whoever's available from that group, I mean the group as a whole, but typically we know these certain people are like daytime responders more than the others. And they'll leave what they're doing and come to the fire station, get on a fire truck and respond to the call.
So does the call go out to all 29
Yep.
firefighters and as many of them as can show up?
Yep. So it alerts everybody, and then as many that can show up. We average right now like 13 and a half people showing up to each incident. So again, we're doing pretty good on our staffing numbers to make sure that we've got people responding to the needs, so. Perfect.
May I ask you a personal question about the sensitivity of sprinkler systems?
Yeah.
I'm in a development that has homes all built in 2018, and all of our homes have sprinkler systems. In general, are sprinkler systems less sensitive than fire detectors, smoke detectors? I would hope so. I would hope they wouldn't go off simultaneously.
Great question. And I guess here's where I can dispel some of the myths about sprinkler systems. Give me 1 second, I'll grab a head here.
That's interesting, because I hadn't thought about that. You wouldn't want the water coming down.
Oh, if it was something you could deal with.
So I'll let that get passed around. So smoke detectors detect smoke only. So there's a chamber inside of here, and there's basically a light beam that the smoke has to break in order to set this off. For a sprinkler head to go off, that red glass bulb that's in the middle of that has to get hot enough, and the temperature rating on that specific one is 155 degrees.
Oh, okay.
So at 155 degrees, that head will explode and allow the water to go off.
Okay.
Smoke detectors and sprinklers aren't interconnected, except in some very rare settings around like data centers and stuff like that. But for your example in your house, if you burnt some food, you could likely set the smoke detector off and it's gonna beep at you, but it's not gonna get hot enough to set that sprinkler off. And again, when sprinklers go, we'll have one head go at a time. They don't, if there is a small fire in the back corner of this room, the one head there is gonna activate. The rest of them out here will not go off. So it's basically one at a time. Now, if that fire was really large and continued to grow, you might set 2 of them off. But in the sprinkler activations that are out there, like 95% of the fires are controlled by 2 heads at the most. So they're very effective in what they do. And again, you don't have to worry that they'll run with your detectors, so.
Thank you.
Well, that's all I've got on here. Do you have any questions for me, or again, any thoughts or programs about how the fire department can help? You know, if there is anything that comes up, please don't hesitate to reach out or pass it on to Alyssa and she can get it to me as well, so.
Andrew, thank you. This is very interesting.
Good,
Thank
We
you.
appreciate show and tell. It's always helpful.
good, good, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Yeah,
Thank you.
keep us safe.
definitely.
You don't look like you could have been there 20 years, Andrew.
I started young.
We have some old business to take care of, great business, actually. So, Alyssa, we turn it over to you at this point for a report update.
Great. And as we are moving into this, I just want to note that many of these programs that Andrew mentioned today are not in the current senior resource package. So if there is something that you want to add from Andrew's presentation, let me know and we can add that too.
Okay.
I will pull up the senior resource packet. We can get started. I'm going to start with the webpage. For those who weren't here at last meeting, I just want to recap. There were a few adjustments that we'll be making to the draft webpage. One of them will be that the font on the webpage will be larger. The other will be that we're going to add website links to all of the programs that are listed here. That is the only change on those. But diving into the complete senior resource guide. Zoom in here. Something we added to all the pages is we added the date, just the year. with the thought that we can go through this annually and add and remove things and change things as necessary.
I did listen to the meeting last time. After Dawn was on, Carver County Office on Aging, now, I would know that I would call the Carver County Health and Human Services Department, but would that be a number to include on there?
We can absolutely include that. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna mark that down, 1 second. And then moving into the letter, I just put a note here that the mayor will sign once approved, and she'll obviously review the letter as well. And then going into the actual directory, I just want to note that the format is going to be a little different because I do have notes and bullet points and highlights in here, but we'll get those corrected before it's actually published. But the first that was noted last week or last month was to put those in alphabetical order, so we've done that. Same with the finance, we've added or placed those in alphabetical order. Zoom in a little bit. We've added or changed some spelling errors. Again, spelling errors. There was also a missing description in the Institute of Aging, so that was also added from last meeting. Just some other quick red line changes. And then an address change for Bountiful Baskets, and then for the Southwest Carver County Health, we switched from NYA to the full-on Norwood Young America.
Excuse me, can you scroll up where, please, about where it talked about congregate meal sites and home-delivered meals? Have we come to that yet? I think it
I
was.
think we were just right. I think we passed it.
Yeah, I think it was on page 5 or 6.
Yep.
Okay. I did call, Chaska is primarily, out of Chaska, they're primarily who delivers to Chanhassen. I mean to Victoria. The other ones traditionally don't, but anybody can go if you want to eat, if it's a congregate meal site. If not, the majority of the meals come out of Chaska. But the main cap number can tell you that. The only other thing, I don't know how many people heard about Humanity Alliance. They do, and it's based right out of here in Victoria. They deliver home-delivered meals on weekends, where any of the home-delivered meals through the CAP agency are Monday through Friday. Where the Humanity Alliance is, they deliver meals Friday for weekend delivery. And it's also a place for volunteers. People help prep the food as well as deliver. Actually, they're located right here in Victoria, so I didn't know, I brought some information if you wanted to include that, or I didn't know if that would be too late, where it could wait possibly for another time to do that.
Would the group want to add the Humanity Alliance to this list? We can absolutely do that. At the end of this meeting, we will have a prepared motion on the screen, and what we can do is approve the resource packet with any changes that were discussed today. So if that's something we want to change, we can absolutely do that. And if there's anything else you see as I'm scrolling through here that you want to stop me, let me know. That was a good find, thank you. Just a few changes to the housing section, specifically towards the Carver County Community Development Agency, mentioning that they do provide affordable housing opportunities throughout the county and how to contact and reach those. And then we made some formatting changes to the lifelong learning and recreation section, just to make it a little bit more understanding of that there are classes and events offered for all of these.
Excuse me, is there a reason Carver County Parks isn't in here? They're not part of Three Rivers Parks. I know Victoria does have a lot of partnerships with the Carver County Parks, but I'm not sure if,
We can add the Carver County Park System. In Victoria, we do have majority of our parks either partnered with Three Rivers Park District or are with the watershed district, but we can absolutely add another park district. There's nothing precluding us from letting people enjoy all of our parks in the area.
it just was a thought.
Grammatical changes on the last page, and I think we're coming to the conclusion of all the changes that were made from this document. Is there anything else we'd like to add, remove, any changes that you saw, spelling errors, because I know there was quite a few last time.
Well, I clicked on many of the links, and they were very helpful. And the information is pretty interesting, like the cyber seniors. I mean, when you look into it, there's really a lot of information on the various links.
I asked you and you mentioned, how do we get this out?
Right.
Maybe I'm getting ahead of you.
Nope, we can talk about that. No problem, Jack. I just gotta. So once approved, we can take a look at how we want to get this out. Some things I've placed on the screen are just ideas for us to consider, but if there's anything we'd like to add, please let me know, because of course that's number one, is if you don't have, if we don't let people know this is available, then all this work is kind of for nothing. But we would like to get the word out there, so we've included social media posting on all of our social media sites. We do have quite a bit of followers on those, so that would be very helpful or a good place to start. Then we have our quarterly Victoria Spirit newsletter. Our fall one just came out a couple weeks ago, so we would hit the winter newsletter, which will come out January, February. We also have the Spring Senior Expo held up in May, so that would be a great place to advertise. Printed copies in the City Hall lobby, printed copies in the Victoria Library. Last meeting, Patrick mentioned that they would be happy to take printed copies to distribute them among their patrons. And then the last one, which was a recommendation, I believe either last meeting or 2 meetings ago, was to contact our local churches and see if we can add something to a church bulletin.
Another one, the post office, just as you come in the door, there's a little space there. They have newspapers and lots of different things. And I don't know if you have to get permission or if you could put a few there, because I pick things up there.
That's a great idea. We can check into that and see if we can add something there.
So do you have budget to make lots of hard copies?
We can check with our marketing budget to see what we could do. For something like this, I think it's about 6 pages total, front and back side and colored, so it wouldn't take that much of our print and copy budget. But.
So you could print quite a few and just leave them at places like the post office and the rec center.
Yep.
And would it be possible, in my case, I could deliver them to my condo
Right.
and just lay them by each of their doors? I'd be pleased to do that, and maybe Bethesda, something like that,
I
where
would
there are
take,
groups.
I would take a stack over there.
But that isn't individuals, and I think individuals is probably the big one, the serious one.
Would we want to have a or something printed? I mean, the hard copy is great, but it's really to hook up online and to connect to the links is really, I mean, a hard copy is great, but it's going to direct you. I mean, so initially get hard copy. I mean, that's $1 million question. Who wants a printed opposed to trying to go directly to?
Well, that's a great point. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So in the newsletter, social media and so forth, you'll be pushing the link, right, to the web page, but a
Right.
hard copy would also have the link printed on it, I assume, right?
Correct. But what we could do is we could make a supplemental flyer that says, hey, we have this new website coming out. Here's the link on our city website to access that. Here's all the, miscellaneous resources that you might find down there. So we can definitely do that and have printed instructions to get to it as well. Because I think that is a very helpful feature, is to be able to click and just go to.
Right. Yeah.
I may have asked this at a previous meeting, but you're gonna track the traffic to the website?
Yeah, analytics is very important, and it's super helpful to see what's actually working and not working. So yeah, we'll be tracking. And what I can do is, once we have this released, I could give an annual, quarterly, however long updates on how we're looking at traffic on our website page.
Right. Quarterly, I think, would be plenty.
Plenty, yeah. I must admit, I don't look on the City of Victoria website, their homepage, very often, but will this be a separate link? Icon on there that will say Victoria's Senior Resource Guide?
Great question. I'll just pull up our website right now if you guys don't mind. I know we're kind of running short on time, but. So on the city website, what we would end up doing is, first, we would have a formal announcement that would come out. And if you scroll down, and this is also a notification that is sent out to people who subscribe to our email list, but it would come out, we have this community updates section, as well as, I think I saw it below, but maybe not. But yeah, primarily it would come out in this community update section, which is down at the bottom. But if people would want to find the website after it's been released, it's been a few years, they could go to resident, highlight over, and a drop down would pop up, and then it would go under something like this. It would say senior resources or something like that.
Okay.
So 2 clicks in.
2 clicks in.
Yeah, that's good.
And that is something, if we would want to do a supplemental flyer, that I think would be helpful, is to have that instruction on how to get here once you access the website.
You did a very, very nice job with that.
I had a ton of help from all of you. This was
Well, you did
very helpful.
Did you do all the work on this, or do you have anybody, Patriots and the staff there?
We are a team, so I always pull in as many resources as I
Yeah.
can to make it the best product as we possibly can.
It's a good piece of work.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do you need a motion here? You have one for us to.
I do, and I just want to mention, if there is anything you want to add from Andrew's presentation, this would be a good time to let me know so I can make sure I add it too. But if there isn't anything, then we can move on with the motion.
So this is the motion that we need at this point.
Yep.
So is there somebody that would,
I still move.
Jack, thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
2 seconds. We're good. Any discussion of the motion to approve the packet and the web page? We'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Good job, Alyssa. We got something done from this group.
Yes, we did. Thank you all for your help and advice. It's been such a great journey getting this together, and I really appreciate all of your feedback and making this come true. So this will be.
So when did you say these would be printed and up on the site?
We will get started as soon as possible. I'll contact we have a communications person that's on staff part-time right now. Our full-time communications person is out on maternity leave, but we'll get the website up and running, and I'll let you guys all know once we get to that point.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think, we need a motion to adjourn, don't we?
We do.
Would somebody move to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Jan and Sue, all those in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign.
Thank you. Thank you all for letting me keep you over a couple minutes. Appreciate it.
I will not be here in November, so just want to let you know in lieu of the quorum discussion.
Maybe we should have brought it up. Could that be a topic of new business? You brought up an interesting point. There are 3 people.
That have never come.
One has been here one time. The other one, that one lady was here one time. The other
Yeah.
ones have never come.
But,
So
yeah, if we have a problem getting